That's right. We're here for the closing stream. A couple things noticing here are the Qs still dropping down, seeing pretty much a whole nother standard deviation move down. The SPY dropping down a little bit even further. And this is where the lesson of why do we pay attention to when a 30-minute drops down and why do we pay attention to if something bad happens. This is one of those times. Unlucky, this is one of those times. We'll see if this is able to bounce back by the end of the day. As of right now, cutting below these lows, starting that negative trend. So that's something to pay attention to. Something interesting going on here is volatility continues to scale up, and we've officially just breached 20, and it really looks like we're about to see this thing really pop off. So we'll see what is going to take place with this. If we are going to, oh, there's a hiccup. Of course, you know I'm going to hiccup on this channel. We're going to see if this can really cross up by the end of the day or cross up tomorrow, but this is the sign that volatility is coming in very, very rapidly, very fast. You have it going above on the RSI, you have it going above the moving averages here for the reading, and then you just have that MACD that looks like it needs to cross to really confirm that. As we see this, the dollar, one thing I just wanted to show was the dollar is still saying, hey, we should be pulling back on a 2-hour, and it's kind of squeezing. So this is interesting behavior I haven't seen from the dollar in a while. And this is just saying the dollar is squeezing, which could actually indicate that this actually might be retail selling this in the dollar. So I want to look more into that. I kind of want to write it in my notes and just treat this time as an experiment. So I'm going to be taking some notes around what's going on with the dollar as of right now, because it should be pulling back into this zone, creating that good structure. Left, head, we get that move down, and then we get that right shoulder. So as of right now, it looks like we are heading down 30% up for the volatility as of right now. Very, very big move, but is that going to last? We'll see, because we do have some key things happening that are saying it is going to last, and that is Nvidia saying, hey, I am curling down on a daily chart outside of my weekly expected move. You can see something crazy to the downside right before we get a JOLTS job openings number this week, right? We get that tomorrow. We get a JOLTS job openings number tomorrow. So we'll see, as it seems a lot of these fears are coming in because of fears of the labor market, but we'll find out as this stuff continues to develop. Thank you for joining us today. It looks like something else was the Dow. One big signal is going to be if the Dow, the SPY, or the Qs curl over on their daily MACD. This one isn't too close. The SPY is pretty close. The Qs are pretty much doing it right now. So if you don't want this thing to cross, well, then that needs to see some kind of reaction to the upside as of right now. So looking down into a 30-minute, we'll just keep it on this for the end of the day. Looking at the Qs, we'll look at some other stuff too, of course. But for now, we just want to say, you know, this is why we say if a 2-hour is going to curl up, great. But if that 30-minute curls down, you got to watch out. And pretty much ever since this bar right here of 469.20, you had to watch out. And once that actually did confirm down, it says, hey, more downside. I'm still waiting to see if there is any kind of play here or any kind of play with something like Nvidia, as that's starting to give some little tapering for maybe just a bounce. I don't think that that will bottom out right away, right? This is pretty dramatic to the downside. You're very far away from the center line, but I think it would make sense to do something like this, unless we are just going to completely take over on the daily scale and see some gap downs or something like that. So paying attention to a lot, positioning correctly, not risking a bunch of money. That is the overall reason that these plays don't, you know, beat me up too much or anything like that. So I just have to pay attention going forward and look for the next trade setup, see if I can maybe scalp a couple of Nvidia calls or something like that. That's the overall thing I'm getting at here. One thing to note was on the volatility where it is at right now. The only thing I can come up with, because this thing is scaling up and it really looks like that daily wants to cross and volatility is here, the only thing I can come up with is a small 15-minute divergence on the RSI. That's not a lot to go off of, so this would tell me most likely volatility remains unless something like data really changes that. Unless tomorrow the JOLTS job openings data really changes that. That's what's going to have to take place most likely for this to turn around at this moment. The only thing I'm seeing is this little thing right here, and it's not even pointing back down yet. It's not crossing through that dotted line anymore like we were right here. It's not crossing through. So this is still pointing obviously in the upward direction, and that's why we have to be a little bit cautious taking any kind of upside plays just yet. Really want to wait for things to at least reverse back around, maybe use this area. We can see it's important, right? We gap towards that area. We saw it as support. We saw it as support. Now we break through it and we flush. So this is going to be a key area. That is your pretty much your breakdown area at that weekly expected move. A reaction up like this can be good, but is that just going to fall back down? That's what we'll pay attention to in the next trading session, pretty much. Marina with the $10 in the super chat. VIX is sexy, can't participate in chat much, but the best channel and people in the house. Hey, welcome, 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 Marina. We missed you this morning a little bit, but yeah, volatility really popping off. I took profit a little bit on my volatility play down by that weekly expected move, let a few extra contracts ride, and then we see what happens from there. I still had the same volatility play that I actually added to in this area, and then this was pretty much whatever happened today. I was going to manage that trade or see if there was a downfall. There was a downfall, and I was able to actually make money on that play. Very, very nice. There is sound, Richard, I think. Yeah, so Joe, I had built that volatility position with my hedge, and then I slowly just started to add like a contract whenever I saw a certain signal or two, and then I ended up adding a couple contracts just in case, and then I saw this turn up and I said, okay, whatever happens on Monday, I'm either managing the trade or hoping something bad happens and then seeing some downside. So as of right now, took profit on most of my volatility play. I'm not 100% convinced that this is going to continue. I can still hold a couple of those contracts like I'm pretty much doing now, but most of the contracts have been sold at this point. Thoughts on Tesla end of day? Well, the key thing with Tesla here was curled over on the, oh, sorry, this is a 15-minute. Curled over on the 30-minute, and from that point forward, I shouldn't really assume there's any upside. Now, you do have this interesting like structure like this. So that's interesting. If we start to break that, we curl down on a 2-hour. That's going to get ugly. Look at the 2-hour. If that curls down, that's not going to be a good sign. Even an hourly at this point, if that curls down, that's not a good sign. As of right now, it looks like everything is pointing straight down. And don't think that it can't continue, because if these hourlies start to curl over, uh-oh, we might head lower. Look out for divergences and things like that. But for now, if you want to get bullish in any way, this is still in positive territory. That's one good thing. So if that can turn back up, then you would say a little bit more to the upside could be happening, but the volume is low for now. Big moves aren't coming back Wednesday or for the data. I think Wednesday data is going to be very, very key tomorrow. I think everything's going to really rely on jobs data for the next few days, and if we can get good jobs data all week, hey, good things can happen. But what if we get good jobs data tomorrow, we head up dramatically, and then we get bad jobs data on Friday? That would be an interesting scenario. Just Joe is here in the chat today. What's up, Just Joe? Hit that like button, says Short Fridays. And Marina, thank you again for that $10 donation. Really appreciate that. The volatility of volatility is scaling up pretty dramatically here. And that PCC, it seems like people can't decide. They have no idea which way to really position themselves. It looks like it's pretty flat even. People just kind of 50-50 on whatever's happening today. So we'll see. Now, we did take a poll this morning. We asked, hey, do you think the Qs are going to land back in that daily expected move by the end of the day? You got about 45 minutes left, but I would say that's most likely not going to happen. But we'll just see if it can get some kind of bounce back up. We mainly want to pay attention to what is happening with the JOLTS job openings. And that comes out at 30 minutes after the open. So that's going to be key, meaning we need to focus on what the price action looks like before and then what the reaction to the data is. I think that's the key thing there. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the dollar seeming like it might be running into some trouble here. Now, this is a 30-minute. I don't look at that very often, but I just don't like this squeeze-like behavior. This is squeeze-like behavior, by the way. When you see a MACD just straight up going down, but the price action kind of goes up, that is a squeeze, and that can mean like a rug pull is coming at almost any moment. So a little bit worried about this guy. And the reason I'm worried about that as well is just because gold should be, as the dollar scales up, gold should be reacting down further, and that's not happening. It's really sat at the same level since pretty much the open, and then we got to see if that thing can curl up or something like that, and then this type of look would be interesting. So I'm still paying attention to this, but the fact that gold's not really falling down unless people running to safety or something like that, but we're not seeing a run to safety or something like that with gold. We're just seeing it kind of hold at these lower levels. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. We just need another, I would say, day's worth of price action, and then I think we'll have a solid hold on which way this market's going. Nvidia is saying on the daily scale it's going down. But welcome. Just a quick note, we are, Teachable did get back to me a little bit. They are still having a little bit of problems. So if you're running into problems buying the course, I noticed a few people were able to. They're just saying some select individuals are running into a problem at times just loading the page. But for now, we're going to leave that sale up until tomorrow morning's live stream so people can ask questions. And because the website's doing some IT stuff right now, they're trying to fix a little problem. So data that comes out tomorrow, John, is going to be the JOLTS job openings. So we'll see if that is increasing or decreasing. Thoughts on a pullback up today? As far as today goes, I think you're pretty set in what's happening here. I don't think you see behavior from the dollar. You know, we've called those times where we've seen like a crazy upward move at the end of the day. I can't remember what exact day that was. I'd have to like look way back or something. I think it was this day here where we said, yeah, you could see something really crazy by the end of the day. And then we just went up like 1.5% in like 5 minutes. So I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around, just because we're not seeing the rigged behavior. We're not seeing the dollar go down dramatically. We are seeing XLU go higher. That is a similarity. So XLU is still holding up. So that's one thing. But we're not necessarily seeing the dollar drop off dramatically like there is an extreme amount of buying here. We're actually seeing it squeeze higher, which kind of makes me want to say that could actually be retail this time, squeezing that dollar higher, selling, and we'll have to see if that's true. But I'm kind of taking it like we don't see this very often, so I want to take that into consideration. I want to write it in my notes and make sure to have that point and see what happens the next day, just to see how I could read into it in the future. You know what I'm saying? Oh, time, sorry, 9 a.m. Central time, but you would say 30 minutes after the open. 30 minutes after the open. But someone's saying the volume pretty bad today. Let's go check on that volume, which would add up to the retail side of things as well. SPY, not the absolute worst. It's still just another not the best volume day. Volume on the Qs looks okay. So I don't know if it would necessarily be that. Like I said, I'm just more so trying to read into the behavior of the dollar, the PCC sitting right in the middle, and seeing why that squeezing behavior is happening. But that's a major drop off, guys, and we're actually curling over the MACD now. Okay, so this means a lot. This means that your percentages of seeing an upside move are starting to go down, and they're starting to go down fast. Because if this is actually going to confirm down, that means that most likely we are heading lower. Now, the good part about this, I'm going to tell you, there is a silver lining here. There's a silver lining here. If we do this, we'll be outside of the monthly 68% zone very early on in the month. Okay, so what that tells me is look out for the jobs data, because that actually could be good news. If it is good news, I need to be ready to react on maybe a shorter time frame, because if we get down to here, we have a 68% chance to land, well, right here by the end of the month. So that would say we could fondle around down here for a while and then see some upside, right? We could do this for a little bit and then see that upside just to get back in this zone. But for the most part, we used it in August. Can we use it in September? That would still be fantastic if we're able to see some reversal signals. I'd like to see a 2-hour, 30-minute divergence at least down in those areas. But I thought you'd be aware, being aware of that is a good thing, and the daily is crossing over. So if you don't want that daily to cross over, what you were just saying in here, I can't remember who just said it, but you kind of want some kind of reaction at the end of the day to uncross that daily, because now you have daily momentum saying downside is the most likely option, even though we're outside of both of our 68% zones for the day. Something crazy is happening. That's why we pay attention to little 30-minute rollovers like this. Bad things happen. All right, now it's not all the time, but 30-minute rolls over, you say, hey, this is going to be bad, that's bad, it's bad, and then if it turns right back around, you go, okay, maybe it has a chance. I mean, we'll have to see what retail is doing. I think tomorrow will be very telling. We're going to have to go through some of these signals tonight. But the good part is, one thing, that's a good thing, is Teachable actually having their site have some trouble today means that the sale is going to go on until tomorrow's stream. All right, so you have till tomorrow's stream to get that course down in the description. $150, you can learn how to swing trade and learn the technical indicators course, which will tell you how to trade around these moves and how crazy things can happen outside of these moves and why you need to pay attention to rollovers near them. It is still early on relatively in the week. It's Tuesday, so we'll see if that can scoot back up. But if that daily crosses, that becomes a little bit less likely. I'm gonna go get my drink real quick. I left that upstairs, but I will be back in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Sorry, I had to get my Coke. I'm drinking poison today. So yeah, this is kind of what you need. You need more than this, though, is what I would say, right? We need this to completely uncross. See that? So that's pretty much all you need, but I think you'd want that wick. I think you'd want a wick. And then a reaction to the data is probably what you're banking on tomorrow, or a snapback, right? So we'll pay attention to the daily. The daily expected moves will be interesting, by the way. So make sure to tune into the video tonight, because I'm gonna get those daily expected moves. A lot of the time when you see a drop off, if we close down here, your daily expected move will be like right here. So we'll see. As far as Nvidia goes, that one I'm not optimistic on right now. Now, you do have a 5-minute or something divergence, probably 15-minute or something divergence. That could lead to some kind of push, but you're below that weekly expected move now. You're below that. This is going to be held hard with some resistance here. So even if you do get that snap reaction up, just watch if that curls back down. That's what I'd say for Nvidia. The reason you got to be paying attention to downside now is just because this one actually did cross over on the MACD. In order for that not to cross by the end of the day, you're going to need a huge wick up, and that's just most likely not going to happen. You're not seeing behavior that says that's going to happen. So you see how pretty much if this bar goes red, ends red like this at all, you're crossing over on that daily MACD. Watch for a bounce at the 618. Yeah, that would make some sense. We'll see. It just means there could be a rebound, but is it going to continue the trend, or are we going to just see good data and spike back up? That's kind of what I'm trying to pay attention to at this moment. AMC and GME, yeah, let's go check on those for a brief moment. Make sure to notice something pretty big here, which is AMC. AMC does have a little bit of what I would call 30-minute divergence, all right? AMC does have 30-minute divergence, and weirdly enough, for AMC, it's not even outside of the weekly expected move. So that's one note to keep in there. I can't believe SMCI. That's the only weird part for me is why are we seeing good days at all if this is based on like jobs data, I guess. Just interesting to me. So AMC, see if this 30-minute can confirm. That likes to turn up 2-hour charts. Okay, yeah, nothing there. All right, so AMC, it looks like creating a 30-minute divergence. So if that turns up, what can turn up? The 2-hour. If that 2-hour can turn up and go positive, the daily scale might turn up. This could actually happen pretty quick. So I'd just be paying attention to that 30-minute signal for AMC. GME, you just really don't want the 2-hour to confirm down. That's got some pretty good momentum behind it if that turns down 2-hour charts. So that's interesting. The 30-minute has curled, but it's still positive. So this thing could jump up at any time. You notice we're trying to curl up here, trying to maybe get above 25.96. Okay, so this could be a moment in time where you do see a good moment. We'll pay attention to it, but that 30-minute has to rotate back up. All righty. If they close at the low of the day, then if you close at the low of the day for the Qs, you're crossing over that MACD. It's not going to be pretty. It's really not. It's not going to be a good sign, right? That would be a bad signal. It would mean like, hey, I should not be going long, right? That's what that pretty much tells me. It's not to say something good can't happen. Sorry, I had to change something around real quick. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so if you close at the low of the day, this is why I'm focusing on the Qs on the 30-minute. I just want to see if this bar is, these closing last bars are going to be up or down. If you close like here, okay, you didn't cross on the MACD, but if you close there, you're crossing on that MACD, and I just want to show you the daily, how close that is. And it's saying downside. Don't take it out of your mind that this can't get uglier, because if you close at the end of the day and you cross on this MACD, now daily momentum has shifted down. If you just flag out in the futures market overnight and then you start to drop in the morning before the open, you can gap down. We could gap below a monthly expected move, daily expected move, all that good stuff. But we'll have those daily expected moves for you on there tonight. Yeah, you're seeing the very, very small red, and that's why I just want to pay attention to the 30-minute. And I want to say, hey, I need this thing to close somewhere around that 463.28 if that is going to see an upside move. But other than that, I'm only paying attention to that mainly because we need a chance to maybe get back on our zone. Data can really change that around, but if we cross on a daily MACD, it's really not adding up to that. Dollar, you're stating starting to dip down. This is what I was kind of worried about, and this is why I'm kind of like taking notes on this pretty much, is because I want to know if this is a symbol for retail is selling, because this is a squeeze behavior here where the MACD is just blatantly going down. This went sideways and just kept going up, right? It just keeps going up while this keeps trailing down and trailing down. That is squeeze-like behavior, and you don't see it a lot on the dollar. So we'll see if that adds up to, hey, maybe that was retail selling while the big guys are waiting for something like the JOLTS job openings. The funny part to me is, did we even get, like, we didn't get jobs data today, correct? Like, am I crazy for thinking we didn't get jobs data? I mean, manufacturing, PMI, construction spending, we know that stuff. But I just don't see the reason besides the media telling people the selling is happening because of jobs data. Like fear of jobs data. That seems to be the only reason I can come up with as of right now. I'll look into things further, but I think that the big boys and we could see some kind of reaction from the JOLTS job openings. And this could be just a dip down to get lower prices before making an upward move. We'll see. I more so just want to pay attention to the signals, though. The SPY has continued and continued and continued to drop. This is just about an hour and 15 minutes ago. That's about to close there as well. So now the 2 hour creeping, you see with this last bar going into negative territory saying, hey, this is the moment where we either need to build back on this next bar a little bit or we're going to see a negative trend. That is not a good thing. You do not want to see a negative trend. You more so also want to be paying attention to futures. You know, you want to look at these on the daily scale. These aren't the right ranges, by the way. I haven't updated this, but wanted to see if that crossed. This guy probably already has. I want to see it on the IWM. That hasn't crossed. And as we go to things like the Dow Jones and stuff, you want to see if that's crossing too, but it's not just yet. So there's a lot to pay attention to, but it's fun. I think the market's been pretty exciting for a little while. Right? Saw the dramatic downturn. We get the bottom. We call the bottom. We get a short squeeze. We moved completely sideways, and then we end up driving down for something like the SPY, driving down now after the fake out to the upside on Friday, cutting above the high with the most likely thing to be upside. Then we turn right down, and that's why I'm glad on this channel we pay attention to trading like water, where it's like, hey, if the 30-minute does curl down, bad things can happen. You go back, you watch last night's YouTube video, and you would say, hey, 30-minute curls down, bad things can happen. Now, I was also stating I thought this could be a dud day. That's what happens when days where these are really, really tight, is you either see nothing or you see something crazy. And it looks like we're seeing something crazy and not something that is nothing, right? So very interesting day. I think it's been a pretty fun market, to be honest. 30 minutes left. September is the reason. That could be it as well. A lot of September times have had some downturns. Thoughts on XLU? Well, my thoughts with all of this and XLU is, one, XLU can be going up when people are running to that safety play. And two, XLU has a massive amount of divergence all the way across this damn thing and on the daily scale. So if we're actually experiencing a crash, though, you more of the time will see this actually confirming down at the same time or before the SPY. So it's interesting that the SPY hasn't made the upward move, but we'll pay attention to this going forward. It looks like something different could be happening here than what happened the last time. So we'll just see if this is actually going to prove to be something, if the SPY is going to actually go to an all-time high, kind of catch up to XLU at this point. But from there, the only thing that's weird is SMCI not dropping down to lower prices, and SMCI is a daily divergence here. That is interesting. Look at that daily divergence. MACD pointing up a little bit, RSI pointing up a little bit down there. Interesting stuff, man. God, it's so cool. So cool how little bars on a screen can be cool. All right, last about 28 minutes here. We'll see if this is able to react back up. Yeah, you're stating that it might be in some kind of a channel at 460. I guess I should get off a 30-minute. I'll have to look at that on the bigger time frames to really find what channel you are talking about. Okay, 200. I'll have to see Sid. Sid, did you email me? I think I got an email from Sid. I'll have to go look at that. to stabilize the screen. Yeah, I just do little, like, I like it. It's kind of like mechanics in a video game, so I just treat it like a video game almost. I like click random stuff. I want it to, if it looks like this and I need to just size it up, I just click that real quick. It kind of sizes it up for me. I can pull it down. All right, cool. I can do the same thing with the MACD, right? If I have it real spread out like this and I want the MACD to kind of match up, boom, there you go. It's kind of cool. That's all I look into with that though, Matthews, but Matthews. I don't know why I called you Matthews. You're not two Matthews, are you? I always feel like I'm going to accidentally click this. Maybe I should be double clicking and stuff instead. Well, remember for the SPY, that 550 is that overall put wall, and we're running right into it. So one thing that we might talk about tonight with the SPY is going to be something like cup and handle, right? See if this is able to fulfill the entire cup, and then see if we get that handle, get a reaction maybe to that weekly expected move, use that as resistance, and then turn back down and play this out, right? I think that would be interesting. That would be more likely how I see downside continuing. And then if we're going to see upside, well, you still just turn up a 2 hour, right? And then upside might look a little something like this, right? But we can pay attention to both at the same time, see which one's playing out. As of right now, great little trade for my volatility. That's kind of why I had it. Had to get rid of one long play that I did have, but other than that, pretty good. Wait for Vixens. Yeah. This here, it's not stopping either. Now it's up 32%. That's the problem here. So if your daily is curling up, look how close it is to curling up too. Look how close that is. So I wouldn't bank on, I think you could see some dramatic selling still coming in. If, according to the MACD down here, if that crosses up, then volatility's back, and you might see another time like this. Boom, boom, 2 days. The Dow's dropping off dramatically, IWM dropping down dramatically, SPX or SPY dropping down dramatically, Qs. Yeah, you might say holding up better, but for the most part, the SPY is the one that was holding up towards an all-time high and trying to break out, and then failed, and then held up a little bit better like this. This went up to this area and has been dropping ever since. So I wouldn't say that the Qs are stronger. I would actually say that the Qs are weaker because they have a solid lower high. Yeah, markets do not go straight down. That is correct. Okay. It's not bad. Not bad. I like this, Sid. I like the signal on AMC right now. I really do. I really like this signal for AMC. I like the 30-minute that it's setting up here. I know that the daily looks awful right now, but you know, you want to see times where things can rotate back around. It would be if this 30-minute crosses. So I'm really paying attention. If that 30-minute can see some strength here, turn up that 2 hour, we'll see what happens. But more likely when things kind of go into, oh, it's going into a not a Monday open, a Tuesday open. Okay, now we're going to see this leak around for a little bit. We didn't see the moment on a Tuesday. Most of the, at least the moments that we saw in the past, were on Mondays that you saw the gaps up. So we'll pay attention to it. But I really like this type of signal. Well, and it makes sense for the SPY to be stronger because the Qs are tech stocks. The SPY has tons of other stuff in it. So people will run to those other sectors and things like that. And that could be holding this up better than what it should be. But in a crash scenario, usually just everything starts to burn, right? VIX up to 21. Which tells you one thing, we're going to see rip around moves. We're going to see either this escalate to the downside, or you could rip back to the upside and then rip right back down, right? We're going to see some rip around type moves, a little bit more volatility. Not the worst thing for a trader. We like when stocks move up and down. It's not the worst thing in the world as long as you're paying attention closely to your signals, seeing a 30-minute curl over and saying, uh-oh, that could be bad. What would you do? Now the question is for you guys. I have a question. Here, I'll do a poll so you guys can decide for me. I'll do a poll. We're gonna make some light of it right now. All right. All right, let's see what you guys let's see what you guys put. All right, there you go. There you go. There's a little fun poll for you. Well, the best thing with those moments, and you lose a ton. It happens to everyone. I can tell you, it's happened to me. Don't think you're alone in it. First of all, it's hard to get through emotionally. I get that if you lose a bunch in one day, it's very difficult. But you more so want to say, you know, if I'm going to continue doing this, what did I do wrong? And really be honest about yourself. If you made a mistake today, you know, a lot of people try to do things like this where it comes out of the range. They just take a bunch of calls on the Qs here, and then they say, well, 68% chance to do that, so it has to happen. Now it's 68% chance that happens. So, but we feel for you. You know, we're always going to be here to help when you do go through stuff like that, just to help with mentality and things like that. See if you can continue, but also just doing something like just coming to terms with it, not getting, you know, you already had your emotions go through it, so now you need to more so be like, okay, what am I going to do from here? You know what I mean? Yeah, Jackson, it does happen. I don't know why, I just had a feeling, and it does happen a lot. And that's why it's like important to understand you need to see reversal signals down below there. That's why we talk about that in the course a lot. You'll never really hear me say in the course like, oh yeah, the MACD crossed here. That means good. Okay, awesome. Good opportunity to the upside. No, it's that cross. That could be really, 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 really ugly here. Really, really bad if it crosses over here. But if it would turn back up, you might get a signal. But did this ever turn back up? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. But that's perfectly fine. Like, here's the thing. Even if you did get beat up and things like that, as long as you can put yourself in a way to come back from it, or maybe you have to change the way that you're trading or something like that. If you're making this mistake over and over and over again, we're looking for reversal signals out here because that's the time to actually do it, right? If this would have happened, that's the time to actually do it, not just because it went outside of it. So maybe it means if you do it consistently, like, hey, maybe I need to stay away from options. Maybe I need to go back to just trading regular shares and things like that. But we're here for you, Jackson. We got you. If you hang out with us long enough, deal with that situation, and you hopefully didn't risk an amount that was overdone, I would say, then you can start to build back a little bit. Not treat it like, oh, I'm trying to make money back. Treat every day like it's kind of mutually exclusive. Just trying to build back from what you have right now, not trying to build back what you had, more just trying to get what's going. And one thing I did kind of negate, and I'm seeing it now, and I'm kind of pissed at myself, but the signals didn't really show it. But this seems very... I can't believe I freaking missed that. But, I mean, the signal to actually see this was breaking down just gapped down. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much. Okay. Okay, Jackson, I get you. Just know we're going to be here every day. Come in, ask questions. Let me know what setup you're looking at. Maybe even mention like, hey, you know, a good question would be, hey, I don't see reversal signals, but I see the Qs are outside of its weekly range early on in the week. Is it a good idea to buy something, right? And then I can at least state, well, we don't have reversal signals here. You have the potential to make a divergence, right? If you make that divergence, that might be an opportunity. But as of right now, your momentum is turning down. That can really help you in thinking, okay, that's maybe not a good idea, right? I can't necessarily tell you exactly what to do, but I can try to show you in real time how you can learn how to read into the momentum and why this overall move continued to go down. The overall move continued to go down because it crossed down. It had the potential to make a reversal signal, but it didn't, and it just continued. And that's why I talk about managing trades a lot. Crosses down, bad things can happen, especially outside of these ranges, and a bad thing has happened. So yeah, try to make sure to ask questions, especially if it's like a setup you're kind of just YOLOing for. It almost seems like you made a very quick decision. Oh, this is down there, so I'm going to do it. It's like, no, you still got to make sure to get those 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. But picked up some calls for 1220. Even I'm thinking about taking some calls, but I just got to see some kind of reversal out of this guy going forward. Eddie, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. Is this not connected? My headphones keep disconnecting. It's so lame. Dang it. Why are they disconnected? Oh, well. But thank you so much for subscribing, Eddie. Really appreciate it. Yeah, as far as Nvidia goes, I feel like you're going to get a bounce back at some point. The only problem with a bounce back, and volatility is higher, so that can be a little bit of a rip. But if that were to curl up, I just know, hey, if I'm going to take any kind of bounce here, it's pretty much scalping at this point, like, right, trying to get some kind of reaction up, because this is so negative that unless we get great news tomorrow, this thing is going to continue that trend, right? So we got to be a little bit cautious with it. YOLO Nvidia call. Maybe a fun play, right? I talked about, yeah, if I take Nvidia calls, I'm going to treat it like a fun play. I might just use my fun account. SPY continuing to, wow, actually really escalating here in that last 30 minutes, really escalating. I think that's enough. It's crossing up. I think now the most obvious thing is this thing's going down. That's what it seems like to me. If I see that, that's overall what momentum is telling you is volatility is about to scale up dramatically. Obviously, we can see bounces back up, but be very cautious throughout the entire week. Looks like just the comments about job data is enough to really scare people out. Well, the thing about the PMI is still above 42. I know it really wants to be above 50, right? You know, people mentioning that in the chat, but for the most part, it's still above 42 and coming higher than the previous, right? I'm gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure coming in higher than the previous. Yeah, higher than the previous, but lower than the forecast. So maybe that's what people are reading into a little bit. And then the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI did come down. Okay, so that could be what I kind of glazed over, but... Ooh, volatility. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a crazy cool market. Tom Lee turned bearish. Everyone run. Did you want to hear about the course, Eddie? Just let me know. I'm like, I'll talk about it. I'm like, I'm sure people are sick of hearing it. That's why I don't want to be annoying, you know what I mean? But if you have a question about the course, feel free to ask. Puts going through the roof. Wait a second. See, the funny thing is, that big drop, we've seen the dollar dropping that entire time during that big drop. So Very interesting. Oh, I'm sure they are. Tesla's getting beat up. It looks like pretty much everything's getting pretty beat up at this point. Even the Dow dropping to lower levels. The only thing that's confusing me is the dollar and gold, that kind of ratio there. Because gold should be, if the dollar's really going to pop off, we're going to see dramatic. Gold should really rip down too. So the fact that gold's bouncing back is interesting. I probably will not be buying into UVXY, even though those good signals are there. If I did, it would be with shares. I would not do an option play on this. No, because I've already, at these levels, yeah, I missed out on that last 30-minute push down, but towards these end levels here, towards these end levels here, I've really been out of the play completely. I think I have 2 more contracts letting them run, but I'm just not fully convinced. And the thing is, with a rip around kind of market, we could see a reaction up and a reaction right back down. So actually, I'm probably going to just get, I mean, even if it hurts me, it hurt me last time I did it, but I'm going to do it again because it's early on in the week. I'm going to get out of my volatility play. I'm not saying anyone should do that. I'm just saying based on my risk management, I think there could be some kind of bounce back that then curls down. It doesn't have to do that by any means. It could just gap down. But I'm, like I said, I'm not a trader that tries to make $1 million on every play. I take money when I have a good play. I have a good play with my volatility. I'm completely out of it. I think I had 2 more contracts I was just letting ride. But I'd rather just make my money, be out of the play, look for the next one. Gold versus dollar is very tricky. That's why you should just leave them both to me. I don't want to see any. Yeah, you're right. Google is near the 200-day. Google was interesting, by the way. And getting down to that 200, very, very cool. We'll see what happens with that. Google was kind of interesting with that kind of that flagging kind of happening here. Not the best flagging, but kind of. And then it just broke that and it just never came back for now. You even got a small retest on this day. I thought that was cool. Nvidia, give me 104 post-market and we can be friends. We could be friends, Nvidia. All right, you got about 9 minutes left here. So in order for this not to cross on the daily, you got to end back up towards this 463.30. That'll be interesting. If we like just go whoop, we don't fully cross on the Qs. And then I also want to keep an eye, AMC not at all showing that turn up. That's one that I kind of have my order ready for my next option attempt at AMC. GME turned back down here. Just weird to see SMCI up. What was Bitcoin doing? Is that dramatic? You know, if you're crashing, well, Bitcoin usually goes down at least 5% if you're crashing. Mara really suffering with that move. Looking at that from the daily scale, watch out for a daily divergence for Mara. That could actually be an opportunity as well. We'll see. But it might take a couple of days and some data for that to actually play out. We shall see, my friends. But right now, you're curling over on a daily MACD. That is not a good sign. The last time we did that, and we weren't even close to the center line. Now we're doing that, and we are close to the center line. So just means be cautious, wait for the reaction maybe from the JOLTS job openings tomorrow. You could open up lower and then end up getting a JOLTS job openings at 9 a.m., 30 minutes after they open, and then boom, things start to go in a completely different direction. We'll see. Very, very cool though. I think you got to see by the end of the day. Let's just look at this 5-minute chart for these last couple of bars here. And one thing I did notice about the 5-minute, by the way, it's trying to make these little divergences, but it's not really holding true on the RSI. So it's like trying to get a bounce, but it just can't. It's just not tapering enough. Good old silver. Nvidia on a 5-minute is just depressing. But it does have divergences. That's the thing. Nvidia has divergences here, by the way, on the 5. It's a 5-minute, though. That's the thing. You see them all the time. But it's like even a 5-minute can't get a break. It's unfortunate. It really is. Because I know people might be losing money in these plays. I'm sorry I'm laughing and things like that. I shouldn't really do that. But it's just when a chart is like really like, I want to bounce, but I just can't. It kind of makes me giggle, and I'm sorry about that. If it crosses on the daily, I think 455 would make sense. 552, I think if SPY's going to hit anywhere, I think it would more so try to react back up to 555 to really test that level and then see if it can curl back down. That's what I'd be paying attention to. Hashtag silver sucks. Oh, man. All right, what we got? 4 minutes left. Oh yeah, that's why I was on a 5-minute. I got to see if this is going to get a reaction. What did I say? Right in this area. You got to close in this area for that daily MACD not to cross. Well, now that now that volatility has dramatically increased, one, your weekly ranges were small, the daily range was decently small, and then now you're like, oh no, volatility increased, so tomorrow you could have a massive range. So pay attention to the YouTube video because we'll be putting that out. Let's see what that vote came to. Actually, we'll let it go all the way to the end. Someone, I'm like, just Joe commented. 5 strong support of 544. Yeah, check out instructional videos. Yeah, so that's pretty much what's in the courses down there. As far as it goes, Eddie. And right now they're just on a 90% sale. That's why I'm talking about them a bunch, but that actually will go away tomorrow morning. So what you'll learn in it is how to swing trade. Swing trading, pretty easy. It just tells you how to get in, how to get out kind of deal. And then for the technical indicators course, that'll teach you pretty much everything that I think you need to know in order to be a decent trader. It'll teach you how to trade around weekly moves. It'll teach you how to, look into divergences, MACD, study those indicators. And I think it's good overall, and it will really help you out as a trader. Even people who have traded for a long time have taken the course and commented about the MACD section. I talk about that a lot because the MACD is so simple. Everyone thinks they know everything about it. But then when I talk about it, people start to go, oh, I never saw it that way. And it really helps. So I think it's a good option for anybody out there. I think for a beginner, for someone who's traded for a while, I think it's great. And the price point is just mainly so anyone can have access to that information. I want retail to be able to start to win, and I think that knowing those type of things can really at least put you in a position to be successful. Are the Qs really going to do this? Sorry to take a random tangent, Eddie. I do have ADHD to the max, so is this really going to end up? No, it's only got 2 minutes. There's no way. But thank you so much for the questions, Eddie. I'm sure other people have questions about it too. So it's good for you to come in and ask questions. If you have more questions, by the way, we will be live tomorrow morning, and I'll still have that sale up because Teachable was having some problems. They had to get their IT people out there. So because I was down today, I want people to have access. So it will be going until tomorrow morning. After the stream, it's over though. 552 on the spot. I don't see that as unheard of. You actually just reached almost 552 right there. We'll see if these things can curl back up. I know it's a 5-minute. We don't pay attention to 5 minutes very often. I just thought it would be fun for the end of the day to see if we get that upward push to uncross that MACD. You need to get up towards like 463.30, I think. Retail's dip buying and we're in greed. That is something to worry a little bit about. A lot of calls. Okay, so remember when we had the short squeeze? Remember when we had the short squeeze and then more puts came in. Now you kind of have the opposite effect where if you do get bad news tomorrow, they have enough liquidity, they could really force this thing down because they can do almost like a call squeeze. And you're already in an area to see something crazy, right? We're already in the crazy area. So what that tells me is if this remains low and people keep trying to buy calls, any pop can have sellers right above it. Little hammer there for the Qs. Okay, so just Joe saying we might see that pulled down. Awesome, Marina. Awesome. All right, 1 minute. Are we going to see a burst higher in 8 seconds? 4, 3, 2, 1. Burst. We did not burst. We tried to burst. We did not burst. We crossed over on this MACD, which means unfortunate things for us, right? Because that means we have to say that the daily MACD has crossed and that momentum is shifting in the downward direction right before we get a key piece of data. So you want to take the fun out of trading? Yeah, I want to take the gambling out of trading. And the thing is, that's why I say this, Eddie. Something that I do, because you did just subscribe, something that I have is a fun account. So what I like to do is if I have that itch of just like, you know, being a crappy trader and just taking something because it seems like fun, I will use that account. It's smaller. I don't risk a ton of money in it, but it gets that little itch out of my system, and I think that's a good thing. It's helped me out, actually, in times where I'm like, oh, I really want to take this play, but I don't have my 5 reasons. It looks like a fun play to do. It looks like a funny setup. And then I just go, okay, let me just switch over to my fun account, and that's where I do that play. So will it bounce tomorrow? Well, we'll have to see. It will be very dependent on the continuation of the price action from now, and it will depend a lot on the Jolt's job openings in the morning at 9 a.m. or if you're in a different time zone, 30 minutes after the open. So the one thing I do notice here is the 2 hour for the dollar looking like it does want to drift down, or it could drop down at pretty much any time. Because yes, you are squeezing, and that can continue to squeeze, especially if this thing would cross back up. But a lot of the time in a squeeze, you'll see some kind of drop, right? And then we'll start to scale back up. So I'm interested to see if that actually takes place. It did drop off towards the end of the day with that continued selling. The fear is back in the market. We'll have to see what happens from there. Let me see how this vote ended to see what I'm doing after this stream. Looks like people are saying I need to go work out, then go to the gun range, and then immediately after the gun range, I have to make a YouTube video. I like it. It sounds like fun. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun today. Like, genuinely, I'm sorry if today beat some people up. I totally understand that. Hopefully we were managing our risk and trading like water. If not, then maybe you need to, you know, take one of those courses that's down in the description to convince you like, hey, this is how you manage your trade. That's right. We teach you how to manage your trade. And so if you were saying, oh, the Qs did cross up on this 2 hour chart, you see that little green dash, I totally get it. I understand that is a confirmation in some way. The only thing is, managing the trade told you, hey, right here, we most likely should be out of any upside, right? This right here said no reason for upside. And what you're paying attention to at this level, if you took the course, was if that would curl back around. That's what you were looking for. Did that ever curl back around? No, it didn't. So downside was the most likely option the entire time. So thank you guys so much for joining today. I really do appreciate it. That's a nice little wick up. We will see what happens to tomorrow. Be looking out for tonight's YouTube video. We will be putting out a YouTube video tonight talking about these type of things and what we need to watch for, and keeping in mind that we still have a 68% zone that we could get to. And a lot of that might have to lie on in the lap of Jolt's job openings tomorrow. So we'll pay attention to that going forward, but I just wanted to make sure to say thank you guys so much for joining. It's been a lot of fun. We've had some pretty good stuff today. And I think we're just going to have to see. I think after another day's price action, we can really start to see which way this market's going to really end up going. If we get a big gap down and that continues, and we see that continue to confirm continued bouncing with sellers above it, or do we see some kind of recovery with that data? So we'll pay attention to it. Thank you guys so much for joining today for the ending of the day, the closing stream. And I look forward to making a YouTube video for you guys tonight, and look forward to tomorrow morning where I get to be live with you guys again and look at doing some more technical analysis. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night, and I'll see you on YouTube in a bit.